Nobody really warns you that becoming a different version of yourself can change the way familiar relationships feel. You can love people and suddenly realize you don't enjoy the same conversations anymore. You can return to an environment that once felt comfortable and wonder why you feel different. You can become more disciplined, emotionally aware, intentional, or ambitious, and suddenly feel guilty because everyone around you isn't changing with you. Then the questions begin. Have I changed too much? Do they think I'm better than them? Am I becoming arrogant? Should I make myself smaller so everybody stays comfortable? This is where success becomes an emotional intelligence issue because sometimes the fear isn't actually about succeeding. It's about what you believe success might cost you relationally. Welcome back to Empowered Me. We're continuing our conversation about owned success. And today we're talking about something people don't prepare you for, the relationships that can change when you change. Because growth doesn't just affect your career, your goals, or your opportunities. Growth can change what you tolerate, what you need, what you talk about, and even who gets access to you. I've had to learn that in my own life. One of the biggest acts of faith in my adult life was leaving what I knew and going away to school. My children were grown, my parents were doing okay, and for the first time in a long time, I had space to make a decision that was not centered around taking care of everybody else. I was taking care of Natasha. I did not fully understand then what 6 years of school, ministry, counseling, coaching, new relationships, new environments, and new responsibilities were going to do to me. I thought I was going away to earn degrees. What I did not realize was that God was also reshaping me. When I began to notice that certain conversations no longer fit, certain places no longer fit comfortably, and certain relationships could not have the same access to me. I struggled with it. I asked myself, have I changed too much? Am I becoming difficult? Why can't I just go back to the way things were? But over time, I began to understand that God was not asking me to become rude or detached. He was teaching me discernment. I could love people and still recognize that everybody was not assigned to the same version of me. Some people knew Natasha before the growth, before the healing, before the boundaries, before the clarity. And that was okay. I'm still in that journey now. I am building a business, growing as a speaker, becoming a stronger coach, professor, leader, and woman. And I have had to accept that sometimes God will allow a season of separation because formation needs space. That does not mean everybody around you is evil. It means everybody cannot have unrestricted access while you're becoming. I can be kind. I can be loving. I can honor people, and I can still protect what God is developing in me. Sometimes isolation is not abandonment. Sometimes it's where God gives you enough quiet to become who you were too distracted to become before. Mercy. Mm-mm. Human beings are wired for connection. We want to know that our people are still our people. So when growth changes a relationship, your emotional system can interpret that change as rejection. That can create guilt, loneliness, fear, and even a temptation to return to behaviors or environments you've already outgrown. Emotional intelligence helps you separate two things: belonging and alignment. You can belong to a family and no longer be aligned with every family pattern. You can love a friend and recognize that the relationship needs a different boundary. You can appreciate who someone was in one season without requiring them to accompany you into every season. Pay attention to what you do when you're around people who make you uncomfortable with your growth. Do you change the way you speak? Minimize what you've accomplished? Participate in conversations you already decided aren't healthy? Make jokes about yourself so nobody thinks you're taking yourself too seriously? Those are behaviors, and behaviors can be changed. Instead of automatically shrinking, practice remaining yourself. You don't have to announce your accomplishments or prove anything. Just stop abandoning yourself to manage somebody else's reaction. The goal isn't confrontation, the goal is congruence. Here's the question: does the relationship actually need to end? Or does the level of access need to change? Social media has taught people that growth means cutting everybody off. Lord have mercy. I don't believe that's emotional maturity. Sometimes ending a relationship isn't necessary, but sometimes you simply need a boundary. You can love someone without discussing everything with them. You can be cordial without giving them unrestricted access to your private life. You can honor family without allowing unhealthy patterns to dictate your decisions. Mature boundaries aren't punishment, they're information about what you require to remain healthy. This week, examine your relationship through 3 categories. You ready? People who strengthen your growth. 1. People you can love but need different boundaries with. That's 2. And relationships that consistently require you to betray yourself to maintain them. That's 3. Don't make dramatic decisions. Observe first, then make one behavioral adjustment. Maybe you stop oversharing. Maybe you decline an invitation. Maybe you change the subject instead of participating in the old conversation. Maybe you spend more time with someone who challenges you to grow. Boundaries become real when they become behavior. Growth can be lonely because sometimes you're standing between two versions of yourself. You no longer fit comfortably where you were, but you're still becoming who you are going to be. Don't mistake that uncomfortable middle for evidence that you've made the wrong decision. Love people, respect people, stay grounded, but don't abandon your growth so everyone else can recognize you. You are allowed to become unfamiliar to people who only knew an earlier version of you. Protect the woman you're becoming. She's going to need the space. You can love people without giving everybody the same level of access to the person you're becoming. Don't shrink just to stay familiar. We're not going to do that. Your emotions are information. Your behavior is the decision. I'm Natasha Richards, and it's time to own it.